Florida State fans not used to seeing the ninth-rated class in the conference, number 31 in the country, but it's all about development from here, and we will get a lowdown on the gems and the diamonds in the rough from Nate Greer on Nole Game Day. Nate, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thanks for having me on tonight.
Appreciate you joining us. You
Yeah.
come highly recommended from one Logan Robinson.
Yeah, no, yeah. Logan's been fun to work with on No Game Day. He does a weekly thing with you. So he mentioned me coming on. He asked me if you reached out. So thanks for the opportunity to talk about Florida State and talk about what happened today.
Absolutely. So just in regards to some of the later commits, your thoughts about who came in under the wire, and maybe if there's anybody else out there that could be signed in the next few days or going forward to the first weekend or the first Wednesday, I should say, in February.
Well, I mean, if you look at, what may come later in the week, I know there's still a chance that they go ahead and get Malik McClain back, the wide receiver from IMG. I know that they are working really hard on getting him to come back in the fold. I know the commitments are working real hard. I know that, Mackenzie Milton reached out to him, and they're trying to build a bond. They really need that big body guy who can catch the ball, which is something that Florida State hasn't had a lot of, is guys who can catch the ball on a consistent basis. So I know they're really trying to get him back in the fold. I know Ole Miss is the I wouldn't call them the odds-on favorite. They signed 4 guys today, but I know they're looking to kind of reinvigorate their talent there at Ole Miss. So that seems to be where he may go. Ole Miss feels really good. I know Florida State is trying on the back end to shore that back up. But then you have the JUCO corner. I know that he signs on Christmas, which is next week. He is looking still. He's pretty open. Jadarius Perkins. He really likes the tradition at Florida State and what Florida State's done with DBs. Florida State does need kind of a guy who can come in and play right away. They lose Asante. You get Miko Dotson back off injury. There's some talk about the future of Akeem Dent, so they may need to replace him. So that's what's coming on the horizon. But what may come is really down in February. The high-hanging fruit for Florida State is Destin Hill, the wide receiver out of Louisiana. I still feel really, really good. I'm surprised he did not sign. I think Florida State is surprised he did not sign, but I think that Florida State still feels really good about him. And I know they're still working on Terrion Arnold, the safety out of Tallahassee. There's a reason they turned down a lot of other guys. They turned down an Amari Harvey. They didn't want to take him to class. They really targeted Terrion Arnold. I know that Florida State didn't make it to the final 5. I used parentheses there. He's very open to the process, and he likes the recruiting game. I don't think that's necessarily over. He's been to Florida State a ton. So, and I've talked about all year that this 2021 class is vastly underevaluated. You're going to see guys who come on the team late, heading into January and February. There's some guys who haven't even played yet, who may start their season in January and February who come onto the scene. One guy that Florida State signed today, Shaheen Brown from Lake City. We talked to Coach Allen right after he committed, the former Florida State linebacker, and he's the mentality that Florida State needs. While fans are upset about the lack of 4 and 5 stars, this is a rebuild. You have to start with the guys who want to be at Florida State, and Brown is a guy who was a little bit hurt by the fact of COVID, of no visits, no camps, nothing, out of season. That these evaluators like to see the guys in short. So, all in all, I'm really happy with what I saw today. I think that Florida State did an awesome job at defensive end. It's an area that they've struggled mightily at. I think they might have 12 sacks on the season right now. 2 former 5-star guys who just have not produced. So getting, George Wilson, who might have probably sign with Auburn if they didn't fire Malzahn. So thank you, Auburn, for doing that. But in getting Patrick Payton, flipping him from Nebraska, these are two. Are they immediate impact guys? It depends on what happens when they get in the weight room. But they are guys who can come in and be situational pass rushers for you next year. So really like what they did there. Some stuff kind of popped today with Hunter Washington. Clemson was trying to get him to flip heading into today, but he stuck with Florida State. He's the guy that Coach Woodson identified very early on after coming over from Auburn. He worked with Washington at an Auburn camp and identified him as a prime target for corner. He's not a guy who's going to kill you with long speed. He's more of a short area, stick on glue corner, which I'm good with that. Not every corner is going to be a blazer. He's a cover guy, which is what Coach Woodson really likes. And getting Marion Cooper to go ahead and stick and sign today was good for Florida State. So all in all, great day.
Nate, are you able to center up your shot? Can you see your return? There we go. And I don't know how close you are. If you want to
there we go.
Back that up. All right. Very good. Got Nate Greer on the line from Knoll Game Day, talking of Florida State's recruiting class. Again, ninth, according to 247 Sports, in the ACC, number 31 on the national front. So, Nate, in regards to what Mike Norvell said about his recruiting approach, but also what he's put into practice, do you have a pretty good feel for what his approach is, whether that be geographically or otherwise?
He doesn't have a geographic preference. He doesn't need to do a better job in Florida. Let's just talk about the elephant in the room. They need to do a better job of building relationships in Florida. They have not gotten that opportunity visiting schools and getting coaches and getting players up there. First and foremost, you got to start there. And it looks like they really stuck with their previous relationships at other stops. Memphis, Louisiana, out west, California, Arizona. But I know that they're really going to focus in on Florida moving forward. What people need to realize is that COVID is an excuse. It is a situation that this staff faced, and you have to add on with what happened on the field. But when you look at what this staff did when they came on early on before COVID hit, the guys who they had visiting were 4- and 5-star guys. And there was a lot of great feedback on the pitch that Norvell has when he gets these guys on campus. He's able to really sell the future of the program. So I'm really confident in what Norvell can do as a recruiter and his ability to connect. And you just got to build those ties to Florida. That's the base of what has made FSU so good. Able to get a couple guys from the Miami area is a great start. And you go from there. He's going to go wherever he can go to get that player that fits the system. And, Norvell is really big on his own evaluations. He couldn't care less about what 24/7 or Rivals or ESPN says about a guy. If it's a fit for the scheme, it's a fit for the scheme. He's going to take a guy who he thinks is a fit. But, a lot of there's one reason why there was a great feel of Tristan Lee when he visited before COVID, right around COVID when it hit. Coming off that visit, Florida State thought that they did a really good job and had an opportunity to flip him or get him to possibly consider them. While he did not, he can sell it, and I'm confident with what he can do moving forward.
So, Nate, when you look down the list, regardless of, as you say, regardless of the rankings and the stars next to the players' names, based on the scouting reports that you've seen, based on the tape that you've seen, or if you've seen anybody in person, who do you like?
I really like, I mentioned before, I like Patrick Payton. I think he can be Brian Burns Part 2, which is pretty lofty, but, he is tall and lanky like he is. Brian Burns is 218 coming out of American Heritage. Peyton's 205, 6'5", 205. Has a lot of that natural passability. Really long arms. Can use his hands very well for a guy his age. Can bend off the edge. He's fast. He can stop on a dime and cut across and make plays. So I really like him. I like George Wilson out of Virginia. I think that's a big get for Florida State. I like, you have to consider getting Milton in this class. I consider him a recruit for the cycle and what he can bring to the quarterback room. I'm a big fan of Rod Orr and his ability at tackle. That was huge for Florida State. He's relatively new, only a couple years into the game, but we all remember Charles Cross, who committed to Florida State and finished as a top 10 recruit in the country. There's been a lot of similarities to him. So I really like him. I really like what, you look at Robert Scott and what he did this year as a true freshman, and you bring in a Rod Orr, so you possibly have your two booking guys for the next 3 years or so. And then, I like Kobe Gross. He's a JUCO tight end, doesn't have a ton of film, but what he has on film, he's super aggressive, and we all know that Norvell really likes to incorporate the tight end into his offense. And he brings the physicality, blocking on the edge, while also being a big guy who can run. It's an underrated part of his game. And I think people are going to be surprised about Jackson West, another tight end. Right now, he's more of an inline guy. He only played 3 games as a senior, but he's another big body guy who can get out, who can run, and can be a mismatch. So, I like a lot of the guys in the class. I like Brown, who I talked about a few minutes ago. He can play a lot of roles on this defense. He's 6'1", 180. Could be a big corner, could be a safety, could be a stud linebacker. I like the pieces they brought in. It's not, the flashy guys. You have a couple 4-star, considered blue chip guys, but I think a few of these underrated guys are going to surprise.
Nate Greer, covering Florida State football. Check out Nate's work at NoleGameDay.com. Nate, we appreciate you stopping by to break down this Florida State 2021 class.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.